Good morning. Good morning. Well, actually, it's good afternoon. Welcome to the Safe and Effective Podcast. I'm your host, Rico, and we are going to go over a topic that's near and dear to me. I don't take extreme pleasure in this because this is the one thing I did not want to be right about. But I am also right about this as well. But me being right, unfortunately, is bad news for you, for your mother, for your grandmother, for your father, for your cousin that was in jail in 2020, for your other uncle and your aunt and the people who were very antsy once they started getting that free government money back in 2020 and 2021, and they just had to go to Mexico. They just had to go to Hawaii. They just had to take these trips. So they went ahead and they preemptively joined the medical experiment. They just couldn't wait. And I begged them. I said, listen, if Hawaii is arresting people who don't do something that is unconstitutional to demand that they do so that they can enter, it's an American state. If they're telling you you have to take an injection to go visit, then don't go. If they're telling you, you think they're going to be telling, if you think that eventually this is going to lead to, well, I won't be able to fly if I don't take it, then don't fly. I moved to the state of Texas because I looked at the map of the country and I said, well, there's enough big cities in Texas that I can drive through, that I can drive to, that I won't need to fly. And that's how I made the decision to move to Texas. I can go to 6 large major American cities without flying within a 5-hour drive, 8-hour drive, because I refused to donate my body to science just so I can fly. Now, the reason we're making this episode today is because we're going to talk about the real, actual reason Joy Reid's show, ReidOut, was canceled. And I'm going to show you why the show was created in the first place. Joy Reid is talentless. Like other DEI employees, she serves no actual purpose. The reason this is extremely confusing for Joy Reid and such a surprise is because when you look at the numbers, her numbers have not changed. So to her, well, if I'm performing, then I keep my job. But if my ratings are starting to tank and I'm getting less viewership and I'm doing bad, then I would lose my job and I would get canceled. But in her defense, her numbers are not any different than they were. Her numbers aren't going down. She still has the same viewer base. So what gives? Look at her face. She's confused. In the words of the great movie Starship Troopers, it's afraid. Take a listen.
My show had value. And
why do you say your show has value? It's because her producers and the people around her told her the truth. Your numbers have not changed. Or she would have not said her show has value. She would have understood that the value depends on who's watching it and how much they're willing to pay you to stay on the air. Your value is intrinsic upon who is your clientele. Her clientele hasn't changed. What did change, though, is we now have a new Health and Human Secretary named Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. effectively ended the vaccine program in the United States. The same way the beloved President Vladimir Putin ended the lockdowns in the United States. Because remember, when Russia invaded Ukraine, that's when all the media propaganda around the coup died. That same week. I kept track of it. I do reports about it. Putin stopped the mass manipulation and bombardment of vax campaign by the media, Putin stopped it. In the year 2022, 2023, when the invasion of the Ukraine began. California ended their lockdown 3 months later, thanks to Putin. So we have to thank Putin for getting our country back while Biden was in office. But we have to thank Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for ending officially the vaccine campaign. What you don't understand is that Joy Reid was not just a DEI hire. The DEI hires were people that were unqualified, worthless people that did not deserve to have these jobs. I'll tell you a story. I remember back in 2020, this girl I was dating, one of her best friends was gay. A complete idiot. All he does is get high all the time. This is during the lockdown, so this probably had to be April or May. I was still in California. No, April, May. And all of a sudden, now this guy, he's black, he's gay. He doesn't really serve any purpose. He never held a job, no real experience, no education. He just hung out at the apartments all the time. I would see him at the pool, and we all lived in downtown LA. One day he pops up, bragging, screaming, and he's celebrating. And I'm like, well, what's going on? They're like, yeah, I got a really good job. And I'm like, really? During lockdown, when everything is closed and, how are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm working for the government. Immediately in my mind, I'm like, oh, wow, you're about to move to DC? And he's like, no, they're going to let me work from home. I'm like, with no supervision, nobody to watch you, nobody to, see what you're doing. They're going to just send you a camera and a box and give me a 60, 70, 80,000 a year, salary for a job that a monkey could do. He's like, yeah. That was an immediate red flag for me. But I didn't quite put all the pieces together for at least another year. Because within a year after that, I started noticing the government has been hiring hundreds of thousands of black, of gay, unqualified DEI people. But at the same time, to use DEI hiring practices, you're excluding top talent, white and Asian, educated, skilled workers, and you're replacing them with uneducated, poor productivity, black and gay employees for federal jobs, and it made no sense until I started to notice that a lot of them are now making videos bragging about how they have these easy jobs. No one's in the office. They get to go for a coffee break, then a tea break, then a yoga break, then a mental health break. And it's just all gays and blacks that are literally making these videos bragging about how they're basically being paid by the government for nothing. That's why when Elon Musk sent out this email saying, hey, let us know what you got done this week, it's a bunch of gay black people on Twitter, on Insta. Go to TikTok right now. Go watch the videos. A lot of gay or a lot of black people. I'm not sending over a video saying what I'm doing. I'm doing my job. Well, what is your job? They don't even know, because they were being paid for nothing. And you have to ask yourself, why would you pay these people to do nothing when you could have paid people that were actually going to do a good job? Well, it's the same reason why you paid Joy Reid. The same reason why they paid a rapper named Juvenile. The same reason why they paid Tyler Perry. They paid people that are celebrities who are gay and black to influence other blacks and gays to go out and get vaccinated. Now, this show, if you don't ask us, it's not a bad thing. All vaccines are safe. We take 15, 20 of them every day here at this show, my entire staff. We vaccinate our ham sandwiches. We vaccinate everything. So they're all safe and effective. That's the name of this podcast, Safe and Effective Podcast. But for argument's sake, Joy Reid. Now let's go back. So let's watch a little bit of her video for a second.
That what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV. And I think this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And then it mattered. I see Karen is there.
She really can't even gather herself, because this was, you talk about blindsiding her. The reason nobody cared to give her a heads up is because they knew, but no one gives a shit about her. She means nothing. Her job was to influence blacks and gays to trust the government and to believe that by injecting yourself with an experimental substance, you were in a roundabout way fighting white supremacy. She also pushed the narrative that if you were vaccine hesitant, you were questioning the science, that you were a Trump supporter, and that questioning the science about vaccination was a hallmark of white supremacy. If she's telling you this and you're a white person, it's going to be a bunch of red flags and you're going to stay away from the injections. But if you're a gay white person or you're a black person, you're going to run towards it. When I tell you this was the most brilliant yet completely diabolical plan I've ever seen in my life, ever executed on a population, it makes me think that there was somebody, my identical twin from a parallel universe, just happened, that's 30 to 40 years older than I am today, put this together 5 years ago. I called this verbatim from the beginning. Anybody who knows me remembers that I used to have another show on Instagram called the Make It Make Sense Show. I was able to get back my other pages and my other page names. They still won't give me that one back. I was questioning everything in March of 2020. I'm one of the first people in the US that shared David Icke when he was on London Real, explaining to people what the PCR test was and why this whole thing was fake. And what the goal was, he told you what was going to happen, him and Alex Jones, a year before you even heard the word that they were going to come out with a vax. She really didn't know that she was only used to poison her own people. Tyler Perry probably didn't know. Juvenile didn't know. All they knew was money. These black and gay employees of the government are all being blindsided. None of them, they all thought that their jobs had purpose. But this is a statement that I wrote on X, and this will now be recorded in history. And we will all come back to this page eventually, and we will share it, and we will memorize it. And I quote myself, "Her numbers have not changed, so why cancel now? This is why she is confused about this. How about you let Rico, myself, explain to you what is really happening? Shall I begin?" Shout out to Hassan Campbell. It's no coincidence that the show ReidOut, Joy Reid's show, was suddenly canceled now that the vaccine campaign has ended, thanks to in large part to RFK and Donald Trump. If you think about it, they're firing all these people now that the vaccine campaign is over. It's not because Trump's thinning out the government per se. It's because the bloat in the government were these black people and gays who they only hired because in a way they were paying them for their lives. Your life's value was whatever you were paid in salary since 2020 when you were hired. Remember, these are all people that got hired in 2020. They all got hired in 2020. None of them are before that. Matter of fact, you don't believe me? Let's take a walk down memory lane. The ReidOut has been on air since 2020. Again, I'll finish. There will be zero compassion for those who use their DEI-driven platforms to push the vaccine onto their own communities. Now that the vaccination agenda is over, networks are cutting Black hosts that they only kept employed to influence their audience into compliance. All the DEI government remote workers were hired in 2020 are now being let go. They were only brought on to serve a purpose. When the vaccine mandates hit in 2021, they would not want to lose their easy government paychecks. So they complied. Now that they've outlived their usefulness, they're being discarded. The ReidOut was a disgraceful, propaganda-driven show that peddled lies, including vaccine misinformation. If you look around, you'll see a disproportionate number of Blacks and LGBTQ hires from 2020, brought in for no real reason over more qualified white applicants. In reality, white workers were spared, even though it seemed they were being discriminated against. In my opinion, this was an amazingly calculated strategy. End quote. It all began in 2020 because they knew that in 2021 they had something that you would have normally said no to. In 2019, the consensus around the country, Blacks and gays, had zero trust in the government. They did not trust doctors. They rarely went to hospitals, and they definitely did not trust vaccines, even if they are safe and effective. But you offer somebody a job with money, a job they were not expecting to have, they get used to the money. Remember, they don't have to do work. They're being paid with no oversight to be at home, and then all of a sudden, a small speed bump pops up called the vaccine mandate. You don't want to, you already have an apartment or a house and a new car, and you're spending money like you're earning it. You're used to the money. You can't give it up. Even if they tell you that you're going to have to roll the dice and let them give you an injection, the people that you hate, who you call white supremacists, who you say are oppressive, and all those same people you said that were trying to unalive you back in 2020 during the George Floyd riot. Remember back when you burnt down our cities? The same people you were talking about back then offer you an injection a year later that you don't know what's in it. They admit to you that they have no idea what it's going to do to you. They actually make you sign a consent form stating that they don't know what it's going to do to your body eventually, and removes them of all liability because of the protection. You sign off on it because you don't want to lose that money. Again, when people say, I remember back when I was telling people, we were first talking about it in one of the early think tanks that I was a part of in 2020, we came to the conclusion that no one is going to take it because it doesn't make sense. And if you want someone to take it, you're going to have to offer them money. I've said it. I even said it on my old Instagrams, and I saw the videos where I was explaining to people, you're going to have to buy people. You're going to have to offer them money directly, because nobody in their right mind is going to be dumb enough to volunteer to join a medical experiment. It won't happen. But I was right, even though I didn't know it. They offered them money, but it was laundered through false employment. They gave you a fake position, a fake job. Remember, they're firing all these federal employees right now, and they said that these employees, if they're honest, tell you, hey, I haven't had a supervisor in 9 months, call me. I don't know what my job is. I'm just getting a check. I'm living here. I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Baltimore. I'm in Vegas. I'm working remote. Go back into the office. I've never been to the office. I don't know where the office is. I've never even been to DC. How can I go back to the office to work? I don't know what I do. Well, what you do is you're a depository for an experimental RNA substance, and they're watching what it's doing to you. But we do know the ultimate outcome is sterilization and deletion. You are a guinea pig, a test rabbit. Don't forget, these are all safe and effective. And, you know, a lot of this is sci-fi. We're just talking on the internet. But I don't know. I've been doing some lives lately that made it to YouTubes that have not been flagged. I think because now we have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has actually restored actual science. It turns out the stuff I'm saying is accurate. So there is no need to remove it. But it was removed before because it was honest, truthful, and accurate. So now you're going to have a harder time removing what I'm sharing because literally the HHS secretary has been saying this for years. I'm just reading the data. I'm not adding extras. I'm not putting my theories on there. This is literally everything I said was the hiring of these people, the creation of these shows all began in 2020. It literally says ReidOut has been on the air since when? She worked on other shows throughout the years. Her show, where she peddled racist nonsense and propaganda about the vaccine, 2020. All these other people have been working for the government since when? 2020. And all the DEI government remote workers that were hired in 2020 are all being let go now. This was a trap. It was a setup. You know how you set up a trap and you put cheese in the middle and you attract the mice? Well, with this trap, what they did was they set up a cage, and instead of cheese, they put money. And the rats knew because they would tell you. That's why my friends, I have a lot of friends who died, who are gone, but they worked in Hollywood. One of my really, really good friends, I'm not going to say his name, but, you know, he was married, had kids, was a comedian. I show him the information and I'm like, yo, bro, listen, I know you got this new wife. I know she's pressuring you to travel and this and this. I said, bro, this isn't the time to be flying anywhere. We don't know what's going on. This is in 2020. He ignored me. One day I wake up, I look at my Instagram. I see him and his girl on the beach. I'm like, damn, is this an old picture? I hope you guys are in LA I hope you guys are in San Diego. No. They were in Hawaii. Now, in Hawaii at the time, there was a 21-day quarantine. I remember because there was some young kid who broke the quarantine, went out to the beach 2 days after he landed in Hawaii, and they arrested him on the beach for being outside. Extremely un-American. If I'm going to, I have the right to get myself sick and kill myself. You should not be able to stop me from going outside if it's harmful. I can go out there if I want to. If I want to do something to myself, that's my right. So I'm looking at him like, well, wait a minute. You don't seem like you're in quarantine. You're out on the beach. You just landed. I'm watching the videos. Then a week later, I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you in Mexico? How'd you get to another country? You do know what you're going to have to show proof of to get back into the United States, right? Next thing you know, 2 months later, his wife is crying and all over the internet. My good friend, heart stopped. He had a coronary. Healthy, exercises every day, young, 32. Was it worth it for some fucking pho and some tamales? We have pho and tamales in California. Why did you have to fly to Hawaii and Mexico during lockdown? During a scam pandemic? Why did you have to leave knowing what they were going to demand of you? Now, actually, he was traveling in 2021. So people don't realize in California, the actors and the celebrities, why do you say you keep seeing them all sick and dropping like flies? In California, they started giving it out in December of 2020. Because if you wanted to go, and this was the kicker, it's the same thing that's happening right now with everybody in the government. See, in California, they turned down roles that were meant for white and Asian actors and told black people, hey, we're going to give these roles to you. We're going to take them from these white and Asian actors, and we're going to give them to you in the name of social justice. Now, as a black actor or a black comedian, when somebody tells you they're taking something from another person based on their race, if you had any self-respect or any ounce of humility, you would have said, no, I want you to give me a job based on my acting skills, based on my work history, my work ethic. I don't want you to give me a job because of how I was born or how I look. That's extremely superficial, and it means I have no talent. I want you to give me something based on my merit. You should have said no, but they didn't. They say, oh, really? I'll take that money from them white people. I don't care that they have kids and families. I don't care that they are the role was meant for them, but you're giving it to me. But then they also told you that we're going to give you access to the injections before we give it to other people, because what we're trying to do is make amends for medical racism in the past. So we're going to give it to you guys first. We're not going to give it to whites, Asians. No. We're going to give it to the blacks because we love you. And we want to make up for all the racism in the healthcare industry over the years. And they bought it. See, I'm telling you these stories just in the name of putting this historically on record, because you'll be able to come back to this and you'll be able to listen to this, and then you'll be able to go through, your memory and remember all of your favorite celebrities that all of a sudden just are sick and dying. Again, we had access to it a year before the rest of the country. The rest of the country didn't get access until March, April of 2021. In California, they were getting it in November, December of 2020. Lockdown was only March of 2020. So 8 months, 9 months later, where did it come from? It takes 15 to 20 years to approve something. How 8 months later, y'all got something already on the shelf? Matter of fact, where was it even produced? How do you have billions in 8 months? It would take you 10 years to produce 5 billion doses, even if you have factories all over the world. The scary part was nobody even asked any of these questions. I did, because I'm a numbers person. You got to make it make sense, and none of it made any sense at all. So you see a lot of these black celebrities, black actors, they're just dropping like flies. And you're like, well, what happened to them? Well, the same thing that's happening to these federal employees. They offered them jobs on movies, and that was going to be your last job ever. There's no coming back from this. Joy Reid served a purpose. Her purpose is over now, so is her career. She has no talent. Her numbers haven't changed because she was also propped up by USAID funding, all of MSNBC, NSDNC. Even Rachel Maddow, she's next. Remember, these are all going to be blacks and gays. What is Rachel Maddow? What is Joy Reid? I suggested they can go start an OnlyFans channel, and maybe they can do crocheting and use scissors. That would be very disgusting, but it would probably grant more viewership than her show is now. Again, that's where the confusion is. She's always had poor viewership. So in her mind, nothing's changed. So why are you firing me now? My show had a purpose all these last few years with low ratings. Why all of a sudden does ratings even matter? Maybe it's because I'm black and I'm bald. No. It's because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in office, and now they're trying to cover up their crimes, and they're trying to hide what they did, but they can't. We already know. And now that you watch this live, you know why they canceled her show and why they're firing all these Black and gay government employees. These people, subsidized also by the government and USAID and enabled. These guys have been like this since 2020 only. All this is new. All of this is new. All of this.
Make your own dinner bag. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears. Troll amongst yourself with Elon and leave us alone. You got the desire, the president you've dreamed of, and worship instead of Jesus. And this time, you didn't even have to storm the Capitol, smash the windows, or try to kill police officers or issue death threats to poll workers. See? You did it just by voting this time. Congrats. You got your way. And he even got away with breaking the law. Yay. My show had value.
If you think there was ever a demand for this piece of trash's show, you're an idiot. But the only people that would ever think that there was ever a demand for this would be Black communist cult people that are enabled and subsidized and protected by living in the United States. They'll see this and say, yeah, she's protected. The reason that yeah, she has value. The reason you say that is because you're supposed to. She was only on the air for you. She was only on the air to convince you that the government was on your side. They like you now. They hate white people. They hate Trump supporting Make America Great Again, MAGA people. But they love you. They love that you're a criminal. They love that you don't contribute anything to society. They love that you destroy our social services and the fabric of our communities. They just love that about you over the people that actually build and steward the country. You were manipulated. She manipulated you because they paid her to. And because of that, you went out and you took those injections when she suggested it. That's why you think her show has value. She's one of the reasons why you went out and took it. You were hexing. That's the thing. You didn't trust the government. She's one of the reasons why you temporarily did. And now you're sick and you don't even know it. There's something growing inside your body. You don't realize it's there. You're noticing you're having organ damage and you're having these weird medical issues. You're not sure what's causing it. You're blaming it on everything else. What do you call it? Cooking oil. You're blaming it on chemtrails. You're blaming it on a lot of stuff. You're not blaming it at all on those injections that she convinced you to go take. You know, the things that'll make you smile, make you cry. Share this video, like and subscribe. Now we all understand why Joy Reid show was canceled and why all your Black friends and family members and your gay friends and family are all of a sudden sick and dying. Not the women though, because it's a testosterone reactive thing. So women have estrogen that's higher than testosterone, but it depends on your skin complexion. Her testosterone levels are higher than the average woman, so she won't last as long as a woman with extremely high estrogen and low testosterone. But men that took it from her background and demographic, they're goners. Matter of fact, anybody who's as dark as me, if you took it, you're a goner. Don't leave your family to clean up your mess. Make arrangements. Just assume I'm right. Make arrangements. Be responsible. Don't be an asshole. Don't be caught with your pants down. She had no clue this was coming.
And that.
Why did she think you can talk to a country with maybe she believed her own BS about the last election. Maybe she believed that Biden won the majority. Yeah, right. This is a conservative, Republican, red country with a handful of blue cities that are overpopulated with people who look like her that are gay. We don't live in a Black gay country. We live in a conservative, Republican, God-fearing country. We live in MAGA country. We live in a Trump country. Trump did not have the stomach to do what Biden allowed the World Economic Forum and World Health Organization to do. Trump was not going to allow them to use Black influencers to convince Blacks and gays to self-poison. But Biden would. And guess what? She went along right with it. The problem is she's going to think about it. Well, damn, were they just using me all this time? The answer, Joy, is yes. And this is when her conscience kicks in because she doesn't have she's not on TV every day with a distraction. This is when she finds out who and what she really is. Apologies are not accepted, Joy. You wiped out your own people. Granted, these are people that hate the country anyway, so we're not really losing anything. In a way, this was a net positive. We're going to remember that this was because of Biden, and he will have to take credit for this. 50 years from now, this will not be seen as a bad thing. It will be seen as a necessary evil. Similar to dropping the firebombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, dramatically reducing the gay and Black populations in our republic will be seen as mercy for the future. No one says Oppenheimer was a terrorist who shouldn't have done what he did. He's remembered for stopping the war and doing the right thing. Biden will eventually be remembered for the same. Collect all your Black memorabilia, Jordans, music, CDs, tapes, clothing. A lot of these Black men, especially the ones who took it, or if they're having constant sex with women that took it, that of course that are Black, this doesn't end well for them. And that's why they keep saying there's going to be a new pandemic. What there's not. It's just that these are time delayed injections from 2021, 2022. And it might not kick in for 5 years. But eventually, there's going to be mass amounts of people at once dropping. And they're going to try to blame it on a brand new novel disease. But it's not. It's just going to be a delayed side effect of what happened back in 2021 and 2022. Share, like, subscribe, do whatever you want. Joy Reid's off the air. Good riddance. Rachel Maddow, you piece of garbage, you're next. Ellen's already ran off out of the country. She better stay there. Maybe Rachel Maddow will go there and join her. Let's see here. Who's next? The View is next. Sunny Holston, Whoopi Goldberg. They will be an example made of them, and they will be replaced. They're coming up, and you will see their tears. You know, these Black tears taste amazing in your morning coffee. You know, maybe they'll be really good. You put some of that graphene. What's that mean? The graphene from the Timcast. You mix that with these Joy Reid tears, and man, you have a whole new flavor. Maybe I should start selling coffee, and my coffee will be named after the tears of these racist, animalistic hosts that have been spewing evil nonsense for years that are now being removed and fired. And they're like, well, I've been doing what you wanted me to do. You wanted me to be evil. Now you're firing me for, my numbers haven't changed. Well, you did your job. You were evil enough to convince your people, but now there is no more convincing people. There's no more injections. Those are gone now. They don't even talk about them no more. It's not even on the news. Now, I don't see them at Walgreens. I mean, that was only 2-3 years ago. That's it. You live and you learn, and then you get loves. That's what this commercial says, right? Like and subscribe. Share the video. Now you know what's going on, and you know what to expect next. Who else is an idiot? Let's see here. I don't even know if Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson took it. And if they did, it wasn't a real one, but I don't think they took it. But then again, if you're a man over the age of 55, your testosterone levels plummet. So there's really nothing feeding the thing that's growing. It requires testosterone. And that's what the booster is. They give you testosterone injections. But all injections are safe and effective. Keep that in mind for the YouTube gods. This is just a show. I'm just a guy talking. Again, I take 15 to 20 vaccines every morning. I put them in my big toe. I have the healthiest big toe on earth. So just keep that in mind. They're safe and effective, but they went through a lot of trouble to convince people who historically would never trust them to take it, And Bill Gates, you did a really good job making this happen. Fauci, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, chef's kiss. You outsmarted the dumbest people in America. Good for you. There will be backlash. I just don't know to what extent. The damage is already done. The milk is spilled. It's going to be hard to trace it because of how much time is going to pass before the big die-off. So you're going to be able to blame it on anything, which is what they're doing every day with the propaganda on television. Share the video, like and subscribe. I'll be back on, but now I've already explained this to you on historical record to my small audience, and maybe more people eventually will watch it, but at least you guys know. Cheers and have a good day.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.